All right, so we kind of changed up today's episode a little bit. When we first started to talk about it, it was it needed more, it needed some substance. So today we're talking about from chaos to clarity, and the best practices that help a business grow, right? So if you have clarity, that helps sustain momentum. Right.
Absolutely.
And then branding becomes that support system that provides that clarity with momentum in mind. So basically, growth isn't about just like the effort alone, trying harder. Like there are businesses out there that are trying just as hard as other businesses, but one business grows almost seemingly effortless from the outside looking in. And you look at those businesses and you go like, okay, like why is that happening for them and it's not happening for me, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is more in just organization, right? So that structure from the top down
Absolutely.
just feeds itself, right? So that clarity is usually a turning point for a business. So why do capable businesses feel disorganized? It's their lack of process.
Could be.
If they have a pipeline they're trying to drive customers through, but it isn't a clear pipeline and it deviates all the time with exceptions to the rule, that adds a lot of stress on the team, which reflects to stress for the customers. And then all of a sudden the system feels disorganized and it starts falling apart. It's inconsistent execution, right? Yeah. Or mixed messaging, which leads to a lot of burnout, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's so many people that are starting businesses right now, and like the rate of them burning out from exhaustion, just trying to organize everything while they're trying to run everything. And like we felt that early on.
Yeah.
Like, there were days that, well, shoot, we were still working full-time jobs and, building the business and also building where we're sitting right now. We built a lot of it ourselves.
Yep.
So, that was a point where I think looking back, I don't know how we did it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, when you're in it, like you don't see outside of that bubble you're in, right?
Yeah.
You're just grinding, you're doing what you have to do to get it done. And when you can finally step out of that bubble and look from the outside in, that's when you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
like what, how was I doing that?
Yeah,
How was I, there's only 24 hours in a day. How did I make it feel like there was 48 hours in a day? Cause I had to do so much.
Yeah. I use the analogy of like, it's like the frog in boiling water, right? Like you've ever heard that where
No.
if you have like a pot of water, you can put a frog into it. And if you slowly raise the temperature, the frog doesn't realize it's in a boiling pot of water. It's just something weird about the way that amphibians work with regulating their body temperature.
Right.
But people, use that as an analogy as like, you're just getting more and more used to the level of stress or the level of anxiety.
You're adapting, sort of.
Yeah, right. And I think we had a little bit of an unplug moment last year. We traded a lot of our time back, right? And that was a bit of a reset for us. And by trading that time back too, that's how we decided to do things like this right now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a way for us to like sort of give back, right? Like, because we've been through a process. And sometimes I think what's hard is you think you're going through a process and it doesn't mean anything else to anyone else, right? But what I find is we consistently keep subscribing to groups where we are interested in other people's stories
mm-hmm.
and their process and what they went through. And like, we want to learn from their mistakes and we want them to teach us how to do it faster without all the bumps in the road. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting how this past year we've really kind of reassigned what we do as far as that stuff goes.
Yep.
So we're trying to organize everything. We're trying to, get that clarity in there. And I think, end of last year, we saw really, really good momentum in the fourth quarter. And I think it's because we adopted a lot of those like simplification rules. And I think because of this, we've been able to make decisions faster,
Yeah.
Like sometimes in business you get an opportunity to work on something and it's not a great fit, but you could probably do it, right? And you're probably like your gut tells you something at that moment, right? And I think we took on a lot of stuff that we were like, yeah, we can do it because we got it made, we can make it, right? And look at how much effort went into that process.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's okay. You want to keep exploring certain areas as you're in business because you might find that you've got a niche that you can work into, right? But sometimes the risk isn't worth the reward, right? There's certain liability with things and whatever, right?
But that's part of owning a business.
Right.
Taking the risks, taking the chances.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we really focused on is, at the beginning of last year, we started really working on our brand identity and like what is Got It Made now and trying to focus it and be more specific and less generic. And our branding was a tool for us to realign with the business that we wanted to be, right?
Yes.
And now those decisions for us, when somebody says, hey, do you guys do this? We're like, not really, but here's somebody that we know that does it, right? And what we actually have found is by having those relationships, they're not like two-way relationships like written on paper, right? But a lot of times when we're passing off projects that we really don't have the interest in aligning ourselves with, we'll find that it's reflexive that the person that we pass a few things off onto, they'll get some stuff and they think of us first because we pass the projects on to them. They pass the projects on to us. And not all of them work out every single time. It is what it is. But
even the customer, just because we couldn't help them with that particular thing doesn't mean that they won't come back if we handle the situation properly and we take care of them and we have clear communication and expectation. We're not burning a bridge.
Yeah.
We're just saying that we probably aren't going to do that as well as this person.
And you're building yourself as you're a trusted authority then too, right? Like, so you're not saying that you'll do anything for any amount of money or whatever, right? You're saying like to give you the best possible outcome, this is the person that
we could probably do it, but this person is it's their wheelhouse. That's what they do. So we'll let them do it this time. And we don't just pass people off to people we don't trust. I mean, everybody that we refer, we trust, what they do in their business and that they're really good at what they do. We would never just be like, yeah, you should call so-and-so. And we don't know how they operate or haven't seen their work.
And so like, as a result of that, like everything tends to feel easier in our business, right? Like that streamlined flow of things. And then also like because there's less chaos, right? I don't have to figure new things out, new processes out, right? And it doesn't distract me from other projects. Things feel less urgent because it's like, this is exactly what I know what I need to do. So there's good things as far as that goes. And I think once you can get that clarity through branding, then your business reaches like a new level of maturity. And I saw that happen for us in the past year too, with our rebrand, right? So that was a mature decision to make that we were kind of like, we gotta like redo some stuff. Things aren't like 100% perfect right now. Not that they'll ever be 100% perfect. You're always working, but like since we've gone through that restructuring, that rebranding, and had that clarity, now all of a sudden, like our perception or our value to the customers, it's like our stock went up, right? Like all of a sudden, we're interacting with new clients that are, I don't know, kind of, they could be a big deal for us, right? And I don't think that we would have been in the same space with those clients reaching out to us 3 years ago, looking the way that we looked, right? So we've kind of gotten a lot of that clarity through that brand structure, and like if things feel chaotic, right? It's not like you're failing, right? That's just what the business is.
It's more or less like being able to recognize the chaos. And if you can recognize the chaos, then, okay, why is it like this? Like, it shouldn't feel like this. And then that's when you address it. And that's when you put systems in place or whatever it is, whatever that situation requires. It's noticing that something needs to change.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not a failure. You're actually succeeding because you're noticing that you need something to change to eliminate the chaos.
Yeah. Because there's like plenty of businesses out there that on paper are successful, but they are chaos houses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you think of like back in the day, like the American Chopper, like was that the Tuttles or whatever?
Yeah.
So there were like you know, these three guys, the dad and the two sons, and the show was built because there was so much chaos that it was actually interesting.
Yeah.
And they made money, right? Mm-hmm. I've worked at places before, and I actually told my customers, my clients, that if they'd ever seen that show before, the place that I worked, if they watched the episodes really closely, there's a guy in the back that's just holding a wrench doing the work. And that's me. Yeah, so that happens, you know? So, you know, chaos definitely isn't a failure, but when you think about like what you could attain by becoming all of a sudden clear and what the potential is for growth thereafter, right? You know, your team is going to see what's expected, right? They're going to have measurable, attainable goals. Don't just set goals. That's one of the things I hated. Like when I did sales, like somebody has an arbitrary number in mind, right? And they double it. And then that's your goal. Like, is it attainable? Like, how are you going to get there? So what you're doing there is if you set yourself goals for your team, make sure that they're attainable, because if you're just doubling your standards and saying we need to get there, but you're not giving them the actual tools, like we just talked about this last night in a group that we were with, like, you need to give your people the tools to succeed. Otherwise, like, you can't blame them, right? You have to blame yourself first.
Yeah, they said that if I have an employee and I'm gonna fire that employee because they're not meeting their measurements that I've set in place, have I given them absolutely every single possible tool for them to succeed? And if the answer is yes, then it's time to part ways. If the answer is no, then it's on you for not giving that employee what they need, you know, to succeed.
And I know firsthand, like I've been in environments before where new hires come in and it's a sink or swim mentality. And I've seen firsthand the frustration of the organization with that sink or swim individual. And there's been a lot of times that while I saw that happening, it was like, man, like,
this could have been avoided.
How do you expect someone to, like, your chances of bringing somebody into an organization with no structure and no direction and having them be a successful, profitable employee for you is like, it's a 1 in a million shot. Like, if you find the perfect right individual, and a lot of times like that perfect right individual probably isn't going to stay at your organization, because if they figured out how to sink or they figured out how to swim in your sink organization test, right? They're probably going to find a way to swim someplace else too, right?
It's probably easier to swim, right? The water isn't
it's not going to stay there, right?
Doesn't have so much riptide.
Yeah, that person has like, you know, a drive, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably something to consider. You have to give that person a reason to stay after they decided that they were a swimmer at your place, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, so I would say, I mean, a bit of a short episode, but there's a lot of meat to this episode as far as this goes, because, you know, it's talking about what improvement your business could actually end up seeing from just defining your purposes and defining your processes, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, what steps are those? Like, if you're a very process-driven business, document your process. That takes twice as long to do something when you're trying to document it. That's something we're working on right now, actually. You know, if you've got definable expectations for the employees, you know, and a clear direction of what your employees need to do every single day to feed into your brand's goals, then everything kind of ties together.
Yeah. You can't expect your employees to represent your business properly if you don't know how to represent your business properly.
Yep.
Right. So that would be the chaos. The chaos would be if you don't have a clear message, they don't have a clear message. Yep. And if they don't have a clear message and they're sending it to your customers don't have a clear message. Yep. It's just a trickle effect. It starts at the top.
Starts at the top, works its way down to the bottom. At the top. It never starts at the bottom and works its way up to the top.
A lot of people think that that's how they want to try to do it, but no, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. You know, it's got to start at the top.
Yeah. So yeah, good things to think about in this one. And then I think next time when we record, we're going to be talking about why looking professional matters more than you think. So check that video out, especially if you're, a home service or a business-to-business type service. It's putting your best foot forward. So yeah. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you.